Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, are you ready to live an inspired and empowered life? Welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Life Living TV show on W4WN.com, Talk4TV, and Talk4Radio.com. And we are live on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. When you join us live, you can come into the chat and make comments, and we love to hear all the things you'd like to share and all the things you love to learn. Today, we will be talking about healing and clearing fear. What do you do with fear? We all experience fear, but most of us never learned how to deal with it. Find out today how to manage it and clear it so that you can live an inspired and empowered life. You'll also learn 3 principles of how to deal with your fear, the difference between past, present, and future fear, and discover the number 1 mistake that would keep you from a life you love. Together, let's create a life you love. I'm your host, Nanci Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive breakthrough expert. I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to help you transform your life. This show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling and is for educational purposes only. And I'm excited to be sharing. Today we have Allie. Welcome, Allie. And put in your comments. And if you want to join the show live, what you do is you go into View Live on W4WN.com. And then you click View Live and click where it says to actually go into the Talk4TV show where you can make your comments. So today we'll be talking about what is stress and fear and how to deal with your fear so that you heal it and clear it. What happens with fear is that it is actually a stress reaction. It's what we've learned. It's what our body does. And it's been with us since we began on this planet. But what has happened is that over time, fear becomes a chronic condition. And when it becomes a chronic condition, your nervous system, your brain automatically goes into that fear reaction. And then you start feeling it and living in it. And that's what we're going to talk about, how to clear it, how to heal it, how to shift it. So there are 3 types of the stress reaction, and I want to go over that first. The first reaction is your flight reaction. And flight is when you want to run away, you want to avoid. It's what animals do, because we are actually like the animal kingdom. That stress reaction is like the animal kingdom. Thank you, Allie. And it's just like the animal kingdom. So, what I'm talking about is our instinctual reactions. There is the flight, like I said, where you just run and you hide like a bunny rabbit. Just they run and hide, or a deer, they run and hide. And then there's the fight reaction. That's where the aggression comes in. And that is, think about the bears or the cats. They are all the aggressors. And there's many other animals in the animal kingdom that are like that too, but those are the ones that are coming to my mind. They go into fight mode. And then there's the freeze reaction. And the freeze reaction is when you become paralyzed and you get like you can't even move. And when you go into that reaction, it's about learning how to heal yourself, calm yourself down, find safety. And we're going to go deeper into all these and how to clear them, how to heal them during the show today. So during the stress reaction, your body's instinctual and natural reactions are your heartbeat goes up, your heart races, it begins to race, it sends chemicals of cortisol and adrenaline. And we have Marie in the house as well. Thank you. Hi, Marie. Welcome. And our blood pressure rises. Our immune system and our digestive system and our alert responses get heightened. And that is why when you are constantly in the fear reaction, you're actually in the energy of that reaction. So you can be hyper vigilant, on guard. It's very common. I have had many clients, excuse me, my allergies are not, so excuse me, but that's my autoimmune system reaction. Allergies. Anyway, so what happens is our natural instinctive reactions end up, it's what we've lived. It's our instinctual energy. And in order to deal with the heal, we want to heal the fear. Okay, that's what we want. But not everybody deals with the fear in the same way. And some of you may find that sometimes you may have an aggressive reaction. Sometimes you go flee or flight, and sometimes you may freeze. So I'm wondering if anybody would be willing, and if you're not, that's okay too. If you want to share maybe where you tend to go. Are you more the fighter, the flighter, or the freezer? And that way we can support you in helping you. And if it feels okay to share that, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. So one of the things, now I talked about being able to distinguish present, past, and future fear. So how do you know the difference between them? Allie shared that she's a fighter. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Allie. So she shared that she's a fighter. And Marie, depends on the situation. Now have been all three, depends on the situation, have been all three at times, but more of a fighter. All right, we got some fighters. Feisty women, love it. And I'm definitely a fighter. And here's the thing. Whatever your reaction and whatever you learned is really part of your survival mechanisms. And none of them are good or bad. They just are. It's what you've learned. And also, you can learn how to negotiate and change it so that instead of going into the reaction where you may regret things or you wish you didn't do things the way that you did, it's learning how to change those reactions. And Allie shared, my daughter is definitely a fleer. Thanks, Allie. Yeah, and that happens. I mean, here's the thing. Each of us have learned to react to the stress in different ways. I know for me, I also have all three. I very easily can go to the fight, the flight, and the freeze, depending on the situation and who I'm in, if it's a situation or a relationship that I'm dealing with. Because remember, your stress reaction is not only about how you're dealing with other people in your life, it's also about how you deal with situations, perhaps like a health situation, a financial situation. All of those are ways that you can use those different ways. So Allie said, I was just talking to my daughter about fight or flight a few days ago and what it does to your body and mind. Thank you, Allie, because that's really what we're going to talk about. Because here's the thing. The fight, flight, freeze reaction is instinctual. It's what we've learned to survive in from the beginning of time and in our families. However, if you are in chronic fight or flight, like I said before, that's when it can really take its toll on your body and your mind, and how they're so connected, the body and mind. And that, I mean, researchers are proving all the time now the correlation between stress and the body's immune system, and how the body's immune goes down depending on the stress. So if you are in a fear reaction, and the fear is from the past, then you are reacting to old issues. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, and let me describe reaction and response. And I use these words very carefully. When you get triggered, when you react and you have that stress reaction, the fight, the flight, and the freeze, I said it was instinctual. So the way that I look at that is instinctual reactions. And those instinctual reactions are coming from the subconscious mind and our feelings and our limbic system. And those old energies from the subconscious, it's what we've learned from the moment that we were conceived to present time. And also it affects not only this lifetime, but past lives and ancestral. We take on ancestral trauma too, and past life, and that it affects us in this life. And so your job is being able to clear it on the very deep core levels of your being. And you're listening to the show, and thank you for joining us, so that you can learn how to do that more effectively, more efficiently. So when you go into that trigger, that reaction, you're in reactive mode. Learning how to respond, being at choice, is a conscious decision. And your conscious mind is the conscious part of you that decided to join me, that's deciding to listen, to view whatever you're doing. And I really thank you and am grateful you're here. Whether you're listening live or listening to the podcast or seeing this on YouTube, it's all about making conscious choices. And when you make conscious choices, you're responding in a very conscious, clear way. And that's how you shift the fear reaction. Now, this isn't something that happens overnight. This is something that takes time, and it's part of process. But just learning to be aware, which is the first principle, is learning to be aware that you're in the reaction, that you're having a reaction. Now, I know Marie posted something. Juan, can you post what Marie had said? My sister has been stuck in grief and a fleer for 10 years. The only one who doesn't see it is her. She's now stuck in every area of her life. Thank you, Marie, for sharing that. And here's the thing. Our friends and our loved ones and the people in our lives, they may not always see it. And the best way that you can help them is to support them in wherever they're at. And when someone is stuck, it's about learning to love them where they're at. And if at the right time, to maybe coach them or support them. If you ask them, is it okay that I share my observations, or would you like to hear? Because one thing that's really important is to never give advice to anyone if they haven't asked for it. And that's why, if you really have a loved one, and thank you both for sharing about your loved ones, if you have a loved one that you are seeing them in a stuck emotion, whether it's fear or grief or anger, and you wish you knew what to do, you can ask them, are you willing to hear what I have to say? And then you want to find a way to say it in a very gentle, loving way. You never want to say, you are da 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 da. You want to make sure that you communicate in a very healing, loving way. And Marie says, so true. Thank you. And so if you are reacting and you're in that, you've gotten triggered and you notice you've gotten triggered. See, the first principle is that awareness. And then once you become aware, then you can do something about it. And what happens is, because the fear reaction is so instinctual, many of us, most of us, sometimes don't even realize we're in it. And so learning how to become aware is a really important step in being able to start healing it, clearing it, and shifting it. And once you do, then you take your power back. Because what happens is, when we get caught in that old reaction, I said before, we may do or say something that we regret. For example, I'm giving examples that are coming to the top of my head. If you're a fighter, you may say or do things that you regret. And then you're like, oh, why did I say that? You hurt someone that you love, or you said something and you wish you hadn't. And so that's why it's really important to learn how to change and become more conscious of the reaction. Now, if you're a fleer, let's say you're in a loving relationship and you're really scared of commitment, and you don't realize that you're in that fear, and you end up ending a healthy relationship where you could have been very happy, but because of the fleeing, not flee. Anyway, I know I get silly sometimes. Because of the flee reaction, you end up leaving something where it was really good. And then there's the freeze. And the freeze reaction, what happens with that is you may say to yourself, why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I say anything? Why didn't I take care of myself if somebody's screaming and yelling at you? And so what I want to remind all of you is that it's all okay. The most important thing is that you become aware of how you're reacting in the moment, because it's in that moment that you can then have the conscious choice to change it. And that's the power. That's taking your power back and becoming more inspired and empowered. So when you're in and you've reacted to a person, to a situation, it's usually, especially, a way that you really know is that if it's an intense emotional reaction, especially out of proportion to the situation, it's definitely from the past. Even if you don't know how or where or how it's from the past, it's from the past. And learning to be able to become aware and say to yourself, okay, this is from the past. This is my reaction, and then being able to take the steps to shift it. Now, how do you know? Now, if asking your question, if you are not safe in present time and you're in fear, it's an appropriate reaction. And you need to do something to get yourself to safety, whether it's a physical safety or emotional safety. If you're in physical danger, you need to take care of yourself in the moment and get yourself taken care of. If it's emotional danger, like somebody is screaming and yelling and abusing you, and you don't know, you go into that fear reaction because you don't know, this person appears out of control, then you have a right to take care of yourself and leave the situation to get yourself to emotional safety. So I'm making a distinguish, and usually there's a combination of both of them when there's physical issues involved. If any of you have any questions about anything that I am saying as I'm sharing this information, please feel free to ask any questions, because it's really important. I want everyone to be able to experience, to know, to be able to learn how to respond. Now, how do you know if it's future? Okay. So future is when you are worrying, and you are worrying. How many of you are worriers? I know I have it too, but I've learned to control and to work with my reactions to calm the worry down. Really important is that self-talk. When it's about the future and you're in worry mode, like what if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if, then you're in the future fear. Now, I actually Googled how much of our worries actually come true. Now, I remember hearing almost like 90% don't. When I researched it and got the figure today, I got 85% of our worries do not come true. 85%. And that statistic was from clinical psychologist Melanie Greenberg in the Stress Proof Brain. 85% of your worries don't come true. So you need to look at what are you doing to yourself, because like Ali had shared, the mind-body connection. The mind-body connection is really real. And so learning to be able to calm yourself down and really do that self-talk. So part of that is bringing yourself back to present time, learning self-care. So one of the best ways that I bring myself back to present time is with breath. So everybody, now I did this a few shows ago, but breath, you're going to hear me talk about breath all the time, because breath is the hugest thing that you can do to move the energy through your body. So belly breath. Belly breath, you can actually imagine putting your hand, not imagine, actually do. Put your hand on your belly and you breathe in. And as you breathe in, your belly rises. And as you breathe out, your belly lowers. Belly breath. Grounding, feeling your breath. And then what I love to do is feel my feet. My feeties. Feel your feet, your breath, your feet, right here, right now. Now, if you're driving, just really remain conscious. Be conscious of the road, because that's really important. That's being in present time. So come back at a later time to view or listen to the show. And you can find past shows on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, and YouTube if you want to view. So, really feeling. Now, who would like to share what are the things that you do to help you ground? Or what are the things you do to bring yourself back, calming, becoming aware? See, what happens is when you become aware and you come back to present, even in the awareness, you're bringing consciousness, you're bringing attention so that you're actually coming back to present time. Then what you want to do is ground yourself, bringing yourself back into your body. Because you can become aware that your head is spinning. This, I call it the spins. And you're spinning and your head is spinning around and around because your thoughts are going da, 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 da. I love using my hands, can you tell? and you end up, and so breathing and grounding and feeling your feet helps bring you back into your body, allowing yourself to ground, to feel calmer. It will help you. I have clients very often, what they become aware of is like they hear the chatter, or they observe the mind chatter. They even say to themselves, like Emma. Emma would come to me and she would be I'm thinking, I can't stop thinking, fear, thinking. And we talk a little bit, and I tell her to notice her body, bring her back into her body, her breath, her feet. And I'd ask, how are you feeling in your body? And she would say, I'm feeling calm in my body, but my head is still going. Now, if your head is still going, then it's about bringing yourself back into your body. That's right. Bringing yourself back into your body so that helps calm the fear right away. So when you have experienced trauma, or when you're in the fear reaction, there are things you can ask yourself to help bring you back, to help bring awareness to what's going on for you. So you can ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What am I really afraid of? So if those of you who are in the chat, see how these questions feel to you. If they feel helpful, if you'd like to answer them. When you're in the fear reaction, asking yourself, what am I really afraid of? And then another question you can ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? Now remember, 85% of your fears do not ever come true. And if the fear does come true, what are actions you can take? And I'm going to talk about that very shortly. But I wanted you to have these sayings now, these sentences, these questions. And the question that's really important is, are you safe right now? If you're in the chronic stress fear reaction and you're sitting in your house or you're with your family, it's from your past. It's from something. And I will also say that COVID has been a stressor that has created fears for many people. And so it's about understanding, what's the fear? What is the fear that's happening? And are you safe right here, right now? And one of the things that you can do is, if you are safe right now, is to start affirming to yourself. Now, I really believe that we do need to heal what's underneath the fear. But something that can help you in the moment and then go back to later working on the fear is, or the trauma around the fear is, if you are in a safe place right now, I am safe right now. Now, if you've had a reaction, and I will tell you an example of that. I remember is a close call with a car accident. And what happens is the adrenaline rushes and you can feel that stress reaction. And what I do immediately is I start calming myself down and breathe and saying, I'm safe right now. I'm safe. It's okay. It's really that self-talk to calm yourself down. And we have Ali saying, my fear is based, and the best way for me to calm is to come up with solutions to the possible scenarios. That is Excellent. That is great. Because, okay, it's future based. And you know what? That is a really practical solution. It's an excellent solution. Thank you for sharing that. And I also want to let you know that I have a meditation, and this meditation is an intuitive decision meditation, an intuitive decision making meditation that can help you calm yourself down in the moment. So if you go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation, you can get the download of that meditation. And really, it's about learning how to be in that awareness, bring yourself back, finding a way to ground yourself. And so, what other factors are there to be able to handle your stress effectively? And now, Ali has talked about one of them, which is finding solutions to the problems, to the challenges. Because very often, what happens when we go into that future fear, or we're in the fear of the future and the worry, if you find the solutions, you're taking your control, you're taking your power back. Having a sense of control can actually calm your fears down. And so, and also what happens, I can't even begin to tell you how many clients, and also myself in my own life, what happens is I'm in the fear, but as soon as I start taking actions, it helps calm the fear down. And so it's really important to find out what you can do, what action can you take. And that's why that decision-making meditation may help you to ground yourself, come back, and ask, what is an action that I can take? Now, if you are stuck in fear and feeling paralyzed, there are deeper things that need to be understood. And I'm going to get to that shortly. But one of the other important ways to really handle stress and your fear effectively is to be able to handle your emotions. Now, this is huge. Most of us grew up in families where it wasn't okay to feel. It wasn't okay to allow yourself to feel the fear and breathe through it and take the action, the next step. It wasn't okay for you to cry. Some of you grew up in families where it wasn't okay to feel the grief, and you had to shut it down. Like Josie. Josie grew up in a family where grief was just totally shut down. Totally, and it wasn't dealt with at all. No feelings were dealt with. And what happened was, when she came to me, she was really numb and shut down. And as she began feeling her grief, she was then able to start feeling all her feelings. And so it's giving yourself permission to feel anger in healthy, appropriate ways. And I always add that on, because any feeling is safe and important to feel when it's appropriately felt. And that's by not hurting yourself, not hurting the environment, and not hurting the property or destroying property. Because any of those things could be acting out feelings, like acting out anger. And so you want to be able to deal with feelings and emotions effectively. And having permission. I'm giving you all permission to feel. My motto, in order to heal, you need to feel, or feeling is healing. So feeling is crucial. And very often what happens underneath the anxiety or the depression are other feelings. And Marie said something. Juan, can you put up Marie's comment, please? Extreme overreaction is connected to the past. An incident with my brother, so over the top from a simple everyday question. I didn't think of that. I was hurt and not in a thinking space. See it now. Thank you, Marie. Yes, it's really important to remember that overreaction is a past reaction. And so it's learning to understand when you're in that reaction mode, what are you really getting triggered? What are those subconscious, because it's coming from your subconscious mind. What are those subconscious patterns? What is really going on? And learning to deal with it and heal it and feel your emotions. That's part of the healing journey of healing trauma and healing, being able to move forward in your life. How you have an attitude and an outlook. Your attitude and outlook on your life will really be significant in how you deal with your stress and your fear. So, are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? Do you see the glass half full or half empty? Now, if you're an optimist, that's great. Really supporting you, encouraging you, keep going. If you're a pessimist, what I want you to know is usually a pessimist you have created that reaction because of the pain from your past. You learned to be a pessimist because very often you were safer. It was safer to think of the negative rather than the positive. Very often I've had clients say, yeah, it's easier for me to think of the negative so that I don't have to, because if it doesn't happen, rather than feeling disappointment, they'd rather say, oh, it's not even going to happen. Why bother? And so learning to turn the pessimistic outlook into the positive, and really learning how to start changing those immediate pessimistic thoughts and reactions. Remember, it's a reaction, and you can change it. You have the power to change your outlook and attitude. And I support you and encourage you to do that. Know that you can do that. And that it's really important in order to have an inspired and empowered life, to be able to have and to shift those old patterns, old behaviors, old reactions. So shifting your attitude and outlook can help you calm yourself down and clear the energy of fear. Now, sense of humor. We need to laugh. We need to laugh at ourselves as long as it's not being negatively laughing at ourselves. And so if you're putting yourself down, that's not what I'm talking about. It's laughing at your uniqueness, laughing at your foibles, saying, okay, no problem. Oh, I made that mistake. Or, look at me, my idiosyncrasies. Everybody we're all unique. Most of us are neurotic. That's life. That's part of it. And so it's looking at your little neurotic things, the things that you do, and laughing at it. And not putting yourself down, but just being able, to really honestly know that your challenges are all okay. Your idiosyncrasies, it's part of being you, your uniqueness. As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting somebody else or the property, you're fine. It's fine. And so, sense of humor and learning to laugh. Put on a funny movie, put on videos, put on something that's going to support you in having a good laugh. That can help you. And this is also going back to what Ali said. The more information and preparation you have, your sense of taking control of your power back and creating solutions. What could you do if such and such happens? And so these are the tools. And this is only the first part. But I really wanted to share these pieces. And next week's show, we're going to continue with healing and clearing stress, fear, anxiety, all of those. Finding out the next principles to help you, move you forward, help you to take the actions and transform your life. Together, we're going to help you create a life you love. And I really want to thank you for being here. Please share this show. Share this show with your friends, your relatives, anybody that you think would really serve. We're live on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on w4wn.com, talk4tv.com, talk4radio.com, and you can find past shows on YouTube, and you can also find it on the podcast on iHeartRadio and Spotify, Pandora, and Apple. And I wish you an inspired and empowered day and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Goodbye for now.